The sky was red and the air was heavy. Rayan opened his eyes slowly. His body felt like it was filled with rocks. Every breath hurt. He tried to move, but the ground pulled him down like a magnet. His arms shook when he lifted them. His bones felt like they would break. He was not on Earth anymore. This was something else, something cruel. He looked around. The ground was dry and cracked. There were other people lying on the floor. Some were crying. Some were not moving. Over their heads, strange towers glowed with blue lights. Giant metal walls surrounded them like a cage. And then he saw the guards. Tall creatures with gray skin, 4 eyes, and sharp claws walked between the humans. Their armor shined like metal fire. One of them laughed and kicked a man who tried to stand up. The man didn't move again. Another guard shouted in a loud voice, "Welcome to Training Ground Zeta. You are no longer humans. You are test subjects. Here, gravity is 5 times stronger than your weak planet. You will break. You will cry. You will die." The others groaned in pain. One woman tried to crawl, but her arms gave up. Rayan listened, but he did not cry. He did not beg. He pressed his hand into the ground and pushed. His muscles screamed. His head felt heavy, but he kept pushing. Inch by inch, he rose from the floor. His legs shook like trees in a storm. His back bent like it would snap, but he stood. He stood while others lay broken. A guard noticed him and stopped. The alien walked over, looking surprised. "Interesting," he said in a deep voice. "This one still stands." He touched a button on his belt and a machine buzzed near Rayan. It scanned his body. Just a normal human. No changes, just willpower. Useless, but amusing." Rayan didn't speak. He just stared at the alien with cold eyes. Inside, his heart burned, not with fear, but with something harder, a promise. He had seen what aliens had done to his home. He had seen the cities fall, the people cry. He had lost everything. Now they wanted to break him too. But Rayan had already broken once. He had nothing left to lose. And that made him dangerous. Later, the guards threw food to the prisoners, small, dry cubes and a bottle of thick, green liquid. Rayan took his share and sat alone. He chewed slowly, ignoring the taste. Around him, people whispered, "Did you see him stand? He's not normal. Maybe he's one of those Earth soldiers." Rayan closed his eyes and remembered Earth, the training camps, the cold mornings, the hard runs. The words of his old commander echoed in his head. Pain is not the end. It's the beginning. That training saved his life before. Now, it would save it again. That night, the temperature dropped. Many prisoners shivered. Some cried in their sleep. Rayan didn't sleep. He lay on his back, looking at the stars. One star twinkled brighter than the rest. Maybe it was Earth, or maybe it was just a lie. Still, he whispered to it, "I will not break." The next morning, the guards forced the prisoners to march across the land. Every step was a battle. People fell. Some never got up. Rayan walked with slow, careful steps. His legs burned. His back screamed. But he kept walking. A young man beside him collapsed. Rayan grabbed his arm and pulled him up. "Don't stop," he said. "Stand. Walk." The guards laughed. "Look at the hero, helping others. He'll break soon." But Rayan didn't listen. His mind was focused. Each step was one more win, one more breath, one more second alive. By evening, only a few prisoners reached the other side. Rayan was among them. The alien leader walked out from a tower. His name was Commander Vok. He looked down at Rayan and smiled with sharp teeth. "You are strong, but that means nothing. We will push harder, until even your bones cry for mercy." Rayan didn't answer. He just looked up and nodded once, not in fear, but in challenge. That night, the wind howled through the prison camp. Rayan sat against a rock, his arms crossed. He could feel the pain in every bone, but he welcomed it. It meant he was still alive. It meant he could still fight. The other prisoners watched him from a distance. For the first time, someone had not broken. For the first time, someone stood tall, and somewhere deep inside the alien base, scientists watched the video of Rayon standing. One of them looked at the data and frowned. "He's just a human," she said. "Why hasn't he broken?" Another replied, "Because maybe we made a mistake." Rayon opened his eyes to the night sky once more. The stars were still there. The pain was still there. But so was he, and he was just getting started. The wind was cold, and the ground was hard, like metal. Rayon sat with his back against a wall, breathing slowly. Every muscle in his body hurt. His arms were swollen. His legs felt like they were made of lead, but his eyes were sharp. He watched everything: the guards, the other prisoners, the sky. Suddenly, the camp doors opened with a loud metal sound. More guards came in. They dragged a prisoner behind them, a young boy, maybe only 16. His face was full of fear. The guards threw him in front of the others. This one tried. "To run," said the alien commander with a cruel smile. "Now you all learn what happens to those who don't obey." He pointed at a tall pit filled with sharp black stones. The walls of the pit were smooth, with no ladders or ropes. "He must climb out before night," the commander said. "If he fails, he stays there forever." The guards looked around and then shouted, "Pick one more to join him. You choose." Everyone stayed quiet. No one wanted to move. No one wanted to be chosen. Then Rayon stepped forward. The guards laughed. "Ah, the strong one again." They pushed Rayon and the boy into the pit. The fall was not deep, but when they landed, the pain hit hard. Even standing was difficult under the crushing gravity. The boy cried, "We're going to die! There's no way out!" Rayon didn't answer. He studied the walls. They were too high to jump, too smooth to climb without help. But the rocks on the floor, some were sharp, some were flat. "We're not going to die," he said calmly. "But you need to stop crying. Use your fear. Turn it into strength." The boy looked at him, confused. "How?" "Listen," Rayon said, picking up a stone. "We build steps, small ones, one at a time, and I'll lift you. You climb first." Together they started stacking stones slowly. The weight was killing them. Rayon's hands bled. His arms shook, but he didn't stop. The boy followed, placing stones as Rayon directed. Above the pit, the guards watched and laughed. "Let them waste their time," one said. "They won't. Last until night." Time passed slowly. The red sun began to sink. The sky grew darker. The temperature started to drop. Rayon's fingers were numb. The stones slipped often. But he kept going. "Climb," he said to the boy. "Now." The boy hesitated. "What about you?" "I'll find a way. Just climb." With shaky hands, the boy grabbed the edge of the wall and pulled himself up. He slipped once, then again, but Rayon pushed from below, using the last of his strength. The boy made it. Now Rayon was alone. He looked at the stone wall. His legs were weak, but his mind was strong. He didn't run. He didn't rush. He used the last stones to make small footholds. Slowly, step by step, he climbed. Below him, sharp stones waited. One mistake, and he would fall. Above him, the guards watched in silence. No more laughter. Rayon's fingers reached the top. One guard stepped forward, ready to push him down, but Commander Victh raised a hand. "No, let him try." Rayon growled and pulled himself over the edge. His arms almost gave up, but he made it. He lay on the ground, gasping. Every part of him screamed. But his eyes were calm. The boy ran to him. "You did it! You really did it!" Rayon didn't speak. He just looked up at the commander. His message was clear. "You will not break me." Commander Victh stared back, quiet for a long time. Then he turned to the other guards. "This one is different," he said. Let's see how much he can take. That night, the prisoners looked at Rayan with new eyes. He was not just strong, he was hope. Some started whispering stories. He beat the pit. He climbed with no help. He saved the boy. Hope is dangerous in a place meant to kill it. Far away, inside a dark alien control room, scientists looked at his data again. His muscles should be torn, one said. His bones should be crushed. But they're not, said another. His body is adapting. Or maybe his mind is stronger than we thought. Outside, Rayan looked up at the stars. His hands were shaking. His legs hurt. But inside, he felt something new. He wasn't just surviving anymore. He was becoming something more. Morning came with pain. The red sun rose over the dead hills of the prison planet. Rayan opened his eyes slowly. His body ached. His arms felt like stone. But still, he stood up. Each day on this planet was harder than the last. But Rayan had a goal now, not just to survive, but to become stronger than ever before. Other prisoners still moved slowly. Some had lost hope, but a few now looked at Rayan with respect. They had seen him fight the pit. They had seen him walk when others fell. A young man whispered, "He's not normal. He's made of something else." Rayan trained in secret. At night, while others slept, he lifted heavy rocks. He ran in small circles under the weight of this cruel gravity. His legs burned, his lungs screamed, but he welcomed the pain. It was the only way to grow stronger. One morning, the guards brought new prisoners. Among them was a tall alien trainee. He was a young soldier from another world, proud and fast. His name was Kor. He looked at Rayan and laughed. "So this is the human they talk about? He doesn't look like much." Rayan didn't answer. He simply stared. Cold, calm, silent. Kor kept mocking him. Maybe he's only strong against rocks, not against real fighters. Later that day, the guards announced a test. "A fight," one of them said, smiling. "Rayan versus Kor." The prisoners gathered in a wide-open pit. The ground was rough, the air was thick, the gravity, as always, was crushing. Kor stepped in first, flexing his arms. "Try not to break too fast, human." Rayan entered slowly. His body still ached from the last fight. But his eyes were sharp. The fight began. Kor charged like a beast. His fists moved fast. He had trained on light-gravity worlds. He was quick, but not used to the weight of this place. His feet slid. His arms didn't. Hit with full force, Rayan moved differently. Slower, yes, but balanced. Each step was strong. His body had adapted. His legs were like thick roots in the ground. He took one hit, then blocked the next. Then he struck back. One punch. Clean. Heavy. It hit Kor in the chest and sent him flying backward. The prisoners gasped. Even the guards were surprised. Kor growled and got up, angry now. He ran at Rayan again, but Rayan waited. Then, at the last moment, he stepped aside and hit him again, this time in the ribs. Kor dropped to one knee. "Finish him." A guard shouted, but Rayan didn't. He just looked at Kor and said, "Learn, or next time, you won't get up." Kor stared at him in shock. The fight was over. Rayan had won, and he didn't even use full force. The crowd of prisoners went silent, then slowly started to cheer. Not loud, just enough to feel the change. For the first time, they had seen a human win against something stronger. For the first time, they felt pride. The alien guards didn't like that. Commander Victh watched from above. He spoke to one of the scientists. "He's becoming dangerous. He's turning others into believers." The scientist replied, "He's also becoming useful. Maybe we train him differently." That night, Rayan sat alone near the wall. His fists were swollen. His back hurt. But inside, he felt something powerful. He had not just beaten an enemy. He had shown everyone that strength could be built, even here, even under impossible weight. Kor walked over to him. His ribs were bandaged. He sat down beside Rayan and said nothing for a while. Finally, he spoke. "Why didn't you break my jaw?" Rayan replied. "Because you're not my enemy. You're a prisoner like me. You just forgot that." Kor nodded slowly. "You fight like gravity doesn't matter." Rayan looked up at the stars and said, "Gravity is just weight. You can carry it, or you can let it crush you." Word spread quickly through the prison. More prisoners began to train at night, quietly, carefully. They followed Rayan. Some lifted rocks. Some learned to breathe deeper. Some just stood, refusing to fall. The guards noticed the change. They tried to break it. Harsher punishments, smaller meals, colder nights. But the more they pushed, the stronger Rayan became. In the labs, scientists studied his data again. "His heart rate is slower now under pressure," one said. "His muscles are thicker, more efficient." Another added, "He's building power like no human should." Commander Victh looked at the screen and whispered, "He's not just surviving. He's becoming steel." And deep in the night, Rayan closed his eyes once more. He felt the gravity pulling on his bones. But now it felt different. It wasn't a prison anymore. It was training, and he was just getting started. The red sky above the prison planet was filled with smoke. A strange silence covered the camp. Something was coming. Something different. Rayan stood near the edge of the yard, his eyes locked on the sky. He had felt the change before anyone else. His instincts had grown sharper. He was no longer just a man. He was something more now. The ground began to shake. A new ship landed outside the prison gates. Its engines roared like thunder. The prisoners watched in fear. Even the guards looked uneasy. This was not a normal supply ship. Commander Victh walked out to greet the visitors. With him were high-ranking alien officers, tall, cold, dressed in black armor. One of them stepped forward. His name was General Drass. His face was like stone, and his voice colder than ice. "I've heard stories," he said, looking directly at Rayan from across the field, "about a human who refuses to break, a man who stands under 5 times gravity and smiles." Victh replied carefully, "Yes, his name is Rayan. We have tried to crush him. He only becomes stronger." Drass nodded once. "Then let's give him a real challenge." Later that day, the guards called all prisoners to the yard. A large arena had been built. Metal walls, weapons on the ground, and cameras watching from above. Rayan stepped forward without fear. He didn't need to be told. He knew this test was for him. Drass stood at the edge of the arena and spoke in a loud voice. "You want freedom, human? Then earn it. Survive 3 rounds, win, and we might let you live." From the other side of the arena, a gate opened. A massive alien beast stepped out. It was tall as a tank, with 4 legs, 2 arms, and skin like black stone. Its eyes burned red. Its breath was smoke. The prisoners gasped. No one had seen anything like it. "It's called a Greyvok," said a guard. "It was made to kill." Rayan didn't blink. He cracked his neck once, then stepped into the arena. The match began. The Greyvok charged. Each step made the ground shake. Rayan dodged left, barely. A huge arm smashed the ground where he had just stood. Dust flew into the air. Rayan grabbed a long metal rod from the floor and struck, once, twice, but the rod bent. The creature didn't feel it. He rolled aside again, fast, smart. He couldn't win with strength alone. Then he saw it. The Greyvok moved slow when it turned. It had power, but no balance. Rayan waited. He lured the beast into charging again. Then, at the last second, he slipped under its legs and struck behind its knee, the only soft spot. The beast roared in pain and turned wildly, crashing into the wall. Rayan used that moment. He ran up its back, grabbed a sharp spike from the wall, and drove it into the beast's neck. One final scream, then silence. The beast dropped. The prisoners shouted. They had never seen anything like it. Round 1, Rayan, but there was no rest. The second gate opened. This time 2 alien gladiators entered, trained killers with blades for arms and no fear. Rayan stood tall, though blood ran down his face. They attacked together. Rayan ducked, jumped, rolled. He grabbed a broken shield from the ground and used it to block the first blade, then kicked the alien in the stomach. He twisted, caught the second attacker's arm, and snapped it at the joint. The scream echoed through the yard. Rayan moved like water now, not fast, but perfect. Every hit had purpose. Every step had reason. Soon, both gladiators lay broken on the floor. Round 2, Rayan. But his breath was heavy now. His shoulder bled. His legs shook. He knew another round was coming. The third gate opened. Silence. Then, Commander Victh stepped into the arena. Gasps from the crowd. Even Rayan raised his eyebrows. You? He asked. Victh smiled. Yes. You impressed the general. He wants to see if I can still fight. You're my test. Victh charged without warning, faster than anyone before. He punched, and Rayan flew back. Blood came from his mouth. The gravity made everything worse, but he stood. They fought like titans. Rayan blocked, countered, bled, and struck. Victh was strong, stronger than any guard, but Rayan had something else. He had purpose. He had pain. He had the memory of Earth. He moved through the pain, used it, turned it into fire, and finally he found the opening, a strike to Victh's side, followed by a headbutt and a final elbow to the throat. Victh dropped. 3 rounds. Rayan stood, bruised, broken, but unshaken. General Drass stepped forward, slow clapping. You really are something else, human. Rayan looked up, breathing hard. You're next, if you want. Drass smiled slightly. Not yet. That night, the guards said nothing. The prisoners whispered like fire. Rayan had won again. Against monsters, against champions, even against a commander. He was not a prisoner anymore. He was a symbol, and symbols cannot be crushed. Dark clouds moved across the sky. A storm was coming, both in the air and inside the prison. Rayan sat near the cold wall of his sleeping area. His body was full of pain, cuts on his arms, bruises on his chest. His left eye still swollen from the last fight, but his spirit, it was burning like fire. He had survived the arena. He had beaten the Gravok, the twin gladiators, and even Commander Victh. The prisoners had watched in silence. Then they whispered. Then they trained. And now, they waited. They waited for something they could not name. But Rayan knew what it was. Rebellion. The alien guards noticed the change. The prisoners moved differently. Their backs were straighter. Their eyes were sharper. They were not afraid anymore. One morning, the guards came in with shock sticks and heavy armor. They shouted louder than usual. They pushed harder. But the prisoners stayed quiet, not because of fear, but because of control. Kor, the alien, who once mocked Rayan, now stood by his side. They know we're close, he said. They feel it. Rayan nodded. Then it's time. That night, in the shadows of the prison, the plan began. Rayan and Kor met with small groups. They passed messages, quiet words, hidden signs. A map was drawn in the dirt, weak spots in the walls, guard patrol times, weapon storage. Every detail mattered, but one risk remained, the control tower. At the top of the camp, guarded by high walls and energy turrets, was the system that controlled the electric fences and the prisoner collars. If they could shut it down, they could escape. If they failed, they would all die. The next morning, something strange happened. The sky changed color. A second alien ship arrived, black, quiet, and full of new soldiers. General Drass had returned, and with him something worse. A tall silver machine walked beside him. Its body was smooth metal. Its face had no eyes, no mouth, Only a single red line. It made no sound, but every step shook the ground. The prisoners stepped back. Even the guards looked nervous. "What is that?" Kor asked. Rayan narrowed his eyes. "It's not alive. It's a weapon." Dras spoke in front of everyone. "This is the Ender, built to break armies, tested on 100 planets, and now, tested on one man." He turned toward Rayan. "You." Rayan stepped forward, tired but ready. "Let's finish it." The fight began without a word. The Ender moved fast, faster than any creature Rayan had faced. It struck with steel arms, each hit like a truck. Rayan dodged, rolled, jumped, and still got hit. His ribs cracked, blood poured from his nose. But he kept moving. He grabbed a fallen blade, slashed the machine's side. Sparks flew, but no damage. Again he struck. Again, nothing. Kor shouted from the wall, "You can't beat it, it's too strong!" Rayan didn't stop. He remembered something from training. Machines were not alive, but they had rules, patterns. He watched its footwork, its timing. It moved in perfect rhythm. Rayan smiled. Rhythm could be broken. He stopped dodging. He leaned into the pain. He let. It hit him once, twice, then at the last moment, twisted under its arm and climbed its back. The machine shook, tried to throw him off. Rayan found a panel near its neck. He grabbed a broken pipe from the ground and jammed it deep into the machine's core. Sparks exploded. The machine froze. Then it fell. Boom. Silence. Rayan stood, barely able to breathe. The crowd erupted. Even the guards looked stunned. Dras stared, then turned to Vok. "This is not just a fighter. This is a weapon in human form." Vok nodded. "He's ready." Ready for what? That night, Rayan sat beside Kor. They watched the stars together. His hands shook. His body was near breaking. But his heart was calm. Kor asked, "Why do you keep fighting? Why not give up?" Rayan looked up. "Because out there," he said, pointing at the sky, "there are more prisons, more people suffering, and someone has to stand first." A soft voice came from behind them. It was one of the younger prisoners. "When do we move?" Rayan smiled. "Tomorrow," he said. The rebellion had begun, quiet as breath, strong as steel, and nothing, not gravity, not machines, not fear, could stop it now. The prison planet was silent, too silent. The guards walked faster now, their eyes full of doubt. Something was wrong, and they could feel it, but they didn't know the truth. The truth was, the prison was no longer under their control. Rayan had done the impossible. He had beaten monsters, machines, and commanders, but more than that, he had changed minds. The prisoners didn't see themselves as weak anymore. They had trained. They had prepared. And now, they were ready. It was time. That night, under the red moon, Rayan gave the signal, a sharp whistle. Short. Then silence. All across the camp, prisoners moved. They had planned everything. Some disabled the cameras. Others blocked the guard towers. Kor and 2 others crawled under the power lines and placed small charges, stolen from the maintenance rooms, right on the fence control. Rayan moved fast, quiet like a shadow. He carried a sharp metal rod in one hand and a small radio in the other. Inside the control tower, only 5 guards remained. They were relaxed, no alarms, no warnings. Then the lights went out. Boom! The fence generators exploded. Sparks flew into the night sky. Shouts followed. Panic. Rayan and his team rushed in. The first guard never saw them. The second reached for his gun, but Kor tackled him. The third fired one shot. It hit the wall. Then silence. Rayan reached the main system, a control board with blinking lights. He had learned its layout during cleaning duty months ago. He pushed 3 buttons. The shock collars on every prisoner's neck deactivated. All across the prison, chains dropped. Freedom. But it wasn't over. Alarms rang. Red lights flashed. From the sky, a voice shouted through a speaker. General Drass. "You think this is over? You fools! You were allowed to live this long because we let you. Now, you all die." Another ship arrived. Black. Fast. It dropped a squad of elite alien soldiers, armor shining, weapons ready. The prisoners froze, but Rayan didn't. He stood up high on the tower and shouted, "We fight! Not because we think we can win, but because we are finally free to choose." The prisoners roared. The battle began. Blasters fired. Smoke filled the air. Screams echoed through the metal halls. Rayan led the charge. He ran into the fire without fear. Kor followed, shouting war cries in his alien tongue. One by one, the prisoners pushed forward. Some died, many fell, but they kept going. Inside the shipyard, Rayan saw their goal, the main alien shuttle. It was their way off this planet. He sprinted through fire, his legs heavy from gravity. His wounds burning. A guard blocked his path. Rayan didn't stop. He slammed into him, took his weapon, and moved on. He reached the shuttle door. Locked. Kor arrived with a stolen access key. "Go!" he yelled. The door opened. A few prisoners rushed in. Rayan turned back. "Get as many inside as you can." He stayed outside, covering the others. His hands burned from the weapon's heat. His chest ached with every breath. Drass appeared at the far side of the yard, calm, cold, holding a strange blade. He walked toward Rayan. "No ship will save you," Drass said. Rayan dropped the gun, picked up a rod. "Then I won't run." They fought, fast, brutal. Drass was skilled, every move perfect. Rayan was tired, but he had heart. Metal clashed, sparks flew. Drass cut Rayan's arm. Rayan hit Drass's knee, back and forth. Then Rayan saw it, a small weakness in Drass's stance. He moved low, rolled forward, and struck Drass in the chest with all his strength. The general dropped. Rayan stood over him, breathing like a wild animal. Drass coughed. "You're just a man." Rayan looked down at him. "Yes, but I trained where no man was meant to survive." He turned and ran toward the shuttle. Kor waited at the door. "We have maybe 30 inside. We can't take more." Rayan looked back. More prisoners were still fighting. "We need to come back for the rest," he said. Then he entered. The shuttle lifted. As the prison burned behind them, Rayan stood in silence, looking out the window. They had escaped. But this was not the end. It was only the beginning. They had broken free. Now it was time to strike back. The stars looked peaceful, like tiny lights in a dark sky. But peace was far away from Rayan's heart. He stood in the middle of the shuttle, his shirt torn, his arms covered in blood and dust. Around him were 30 prisoners, now free men and women. Some were injured. Some were crying. Some just stared into space, too shocked to speak. Rayan didn't smile. Not yet. Kor walked up to him. "We made it. We are out." Rayan nodded. "Yes, but we left so many behind. And Drass is still alive." Kor said nothing. He knew Rayan was already thinking about the next step. The shuttle had a small control room. Rayan sat down in the pilot's seat and touched the screen. Alien symbols glowed. "I learned a little when I was forced to clean the command ships," Rayan said. "Let's see if I can fly this thing." The shuttle moved through space slowly at first, then faster. It wasn't perfect, but it was enough. Suddenly, an alarm beeped. Kor leaned over. "Tracking signal. They know where we are." Rayan nodded. "Let them come." He pressed a few buttons, and the ship entered a nearby asteroid field. Big rocks floated in space like giant fists. They had no weapons strong enough to fight, but they could hide, for now. The prisoners rested while Rayan stayed awake. He couldn't sleep. His body was shaking from pain, but his mind was full of fire. He remembered Earth. He remembered the day they took him, calling him weak, calling all humans soft. He remembered the gravity prison, the pain, the fear, the training, and now he remembered the ones still trapped behind, those who didn't get on the shuttle. They needed a leader, and Rayan had decided. The next morning, the ship reached a small mining station on a hidden moon. Kor knew of it from his past life before prison. The station had food, water, a place to breathe, and a way to send messages. Rayan stood before a broken communication panel. "Can we fix it?" he asked. An old prisoner named Miko stepped forward. "I worked as a signal tech before I was captured. Give me an hour." Rayan nodded. "Do it." After an hour, the screen came to life. Fuzzy at first, then clear. Miko smiled. "You can now send a message to the stars." Rayan stepped forward. He looked into the camera. His face was tired but strong. "This is a message to every human colony. This is Rayan, prisoner 01492, from the high-gravity labor planet Arox 9. I escaped, not alone. We rose together. We fought, and we broke their walls." He paused, breathing slowly. "But many are still trapped. Not just humans, all kinds. Different species, different faces, same pain. We must go back. We must free them. We are no longer slaves. We are fighters." He leaned in closer. "They trained me to survive. Now I will train others to win." He sent the message. Across the galaxy, humans working in secret bases received it. Colonists on far-off moons saw it. Soldiers, smugglers, rebels. They all watched it. A fire was lit. Within days, small ships came to the moon. Humans from different corners of space. Fighters, medics, mechanics. They wanted to help. They wanted to follow Rayan. He trained them. Every day. In extra gravity rooms they built. In broken ships they fixed. He made them strong. And then, they returned. A fleet of stolen and rebuilt ships, small but fast. They flew back to Arox 9, the prison planet. Dras was waiting with an army. But this time, the prisoners inside the camp were already rising. Rayan's message had reached them too. They had started their own fight. When Rayan's ships landed, chaos had already begun. Fences down, towers burning. He jumped from the ship and ran toward the main gate. Prisoners cheered when they saw him. Blasts echoed in the air. Rayan moved through, the battlefield like a storm. He found Dras again, standing tall, blade in hand. This time, Rayan didn't speak. He charged. Their fight was short, brutal, but Rayan had grown, not just stronger, smarter. Dras was powerful, but alone. Rayan had an army behind him now, and finally, Dras fell. The prison was taken. The prisoners were free. Rayan stood in the center of the yard, the same place where he once collapsed from the weight of gravity. Now, he stood tall. Kor came to his side. "It's done." Rayan looked up at the sky. "No," he said. "It's just the beginning."